YouTube, you fools try to limit me. Muting and deleting channels, thinking that's the end of me. Y'all are not on my level, smaller than a centipede. This is my purpose, TBT is a ministry. I do not tire, my God gives me energy. Chose by Messiah, you believe, come get with me. Married to a black queen, we got the illest chemistry. Founded the black tube, and now we making history. Black tube, 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 what? Black tube, 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 what? TBT, 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 what? TBT, 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 what? TheBlackTube.com. I'm a giant killer, son of an omniscient God who's realer. If this be the thriller in Manila, I'm Ali in his prime. It's showtime, go time, about to take what's mine. We are not with your agenda, we showing real life.
Yo, peace and love. What up, though? What it do? What's popping? What's cracking? What's happening? Oh, man, YouTube and I guess probably TikTok, too, is lit like my bracelet. Man, they is going in on Fat Joe, Puerto Rico. They ain't going in on the Puerto Ricans, you know what I'm talking about, but they going in on Fat Joe big time, man. We already had this discussion some years ago during the Kaepernick, the Colin Kaepernick taking the knee situation, you know, and of course, many celebrities gave their 2 cents, and Fat Joe was one of those celebrities who gave his 2 cents about Kaepernick taking the knee, you know, and his 2 cents, you know, permanently put him on the others, the list of the others, by way of, you know, if you ask me. So I'm trying to get this off the screen. Okay, it's off for now, but will it stay off is the question. Yeah, so I, you know, step back and I've just been listening, you know, to see what everybody is saying, and I want to bring it full circle right quick. I don't want quick access. I want desktop. Where is that? So again, you know, I want to bring it full circle. Should I go with crack? Let's go with crack. Let's see what crack I'm. Yes, this is called a crack. All right, here we go. Hopefully it don't blow up across the whole screen, but if it does, I'll deal with that. Let me see. Well, I still don't see it. Like, bro, this don't make no kind of sense. Okay, it ain't on there. I gotta come back over here. This is work. This is work right here. But I'm gonna bring it full circle right quick because you once you start talking about Fat Joe, then you have to bring up Busta Rhymes, with the statement that he made concerning mainland Black Americans. And he didn't even say that, you know what I'm saying? That's something that somebody who is familiar with geography probably would say that. And who would be from one of the American islands. Because again, when we talk about Cuba or Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic or Haiti or Bahamas, these are all islands that are American islands. They are adjoined to the north, well, in between most of them in between North and South America or North and Central America, right? These again are American islands. These aren't islands from that are adjoining to or adjoining is what I'm trying to say. Excuse me, my English is messed up. You know what I'm saying? But adjoining islands, American adjoining islands. They're not, we're not talking about Fiji, although that would be similar, but we would just be in the Pacific Ocean area. When we start talking about Hawaii, you see what I'm saying? Like, wow, this is, I gotta bring this full circle. So let me see if I can at the very least get my photo started. Where we at? Well, I still don't see it. Like, this don't make sense. Okay, I do see it. There, go right there. My bad. No, no, yes. Here we go. Bam. All right. Now we getting somewhere. Am I even on here? Okay. So, okay, let's go back. Let's go back to when Colin Kaepernick uh, was refusing to stand for the national anthem, right? And the reason why he was taking this stance, or rather this knee, was because he was protesting against police brutality, right? Against the deprivation of rights under the color of law. For the melanated people who have have been suffering by the hands of these patrol people for a couple of centuries now, right? So during this era, Fat Joe made a statement that he, feel like Colin Kaepernick is wrong and is disrespectful to not stand for the national anthem because this is the greatest country on earth and is disrespectful. Not to hold on. Do you know what the Star Spangled Banner is? Do you know anything about 1812? Right? Do you know anything about Francis Scott Keys, who wrote the Star Spangled Banner? Right? Again, the general populace of people only know that first verse. They don't know that Star Spangled Banner has like 3 or 4 verses to it, right? So, those of us who know will never stand up for that. Ever, because it is directly addressing the War of 1812, which was our ancestors, some of us don't claim because we've been tricked into believing that we are a people who became nationless or stateless or POWs by way of coming from another land other than the land beneath your feet, right? So with that being said, many of us have become far removed from knowing any information concerning 1812. And I'm not going to even go all through that, but I'm talking about the real Chief Pontiac. I'm not talking about somebody claiming to be reincarnated as, and no disrespect to that brother. I'm just saying he knows about the War of 1812. You understand? Uh, yeah, yeah. So with that being said, with Fat Joe making that statement at that point, I was like, yeah, he's done. You understand? Because prior to Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, right? I could talk about myself, or I could talk about, my son, right? He knows that he what is not and wasn't allowed when I'm quite sure every morning they don't do the pledge of allegiance and all of this and that at the school that he's attending now, but his elementary school, right? They definitely was into that. So I had to send a little note to school with him, to let the teacher know why. You see, my child will not be pledging an allegiance to any corporate entity, you understand? And blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So, to be someone who is fortunate enough to have the type of um, riches that Fat Joe has, for him not to know this information, because you have to give people the benefit of the doubt. You understand? And when they are ignorant to certain things, you can't just because they stand against something. Maybe they stand against it or for it because they're not aware of its origins. Let's just say that, right? Let's just say, you know, um, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Peace, y'all, peace. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't know if he's aware of the origins of that Star Spangled Banner, right? So I see we got some comments. Peace, God. Yeah, I had to. It's like I said, YouTube lit right now. Everybody is on the Fat Joe tip right now, wearing them out because of the Math Hoffa interview. But again, if you go back and check a few years ago or some years ago, I already was rested. Not that situation, but and not him using the N word, right? Even though y'all know I'll say the N word in a minute. You see, it's just, you see what I'm saying? Like, nah, not to say that I don't feel a way about the usage of that word from some of the brothers and the sisters who, again, who come to the mainland, what they call the mainland, right? From, again, the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, which, again, people in Puerto Rico know that Puerto Rico is uh, a state of, right? It's a part of the United States of America as a corporate entity, and again, as a continent and a landmass, which is a multi-continent, being North, Central, and South America. Those islands, you know what I'm saying, that people like to get to by way of Florida. You feel me? Like, it doesn't. How long do you think it takes for you to get to Puerto Rico from Florida? These places are a part of America. Again, as I stated earlier, these are the adjoining islands, right, of the Americas. These are the places that these conquistadors, you understand, those were the lands. How do you think Dominican Republic got its name? Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. You see what I'm saying? Like, why do you think their first tongue is Espanol? It's because of the same reason that our first language, for those of us who are bilingual and trilingual and multilingual, that look like you and I, but their first language is English. You're not English. The same way that they're not actually Spanish, right? And Fat Joe, for example, looking at him, if he wasn't a celebrity, you see what I'm saying? And you saw him without hearing him, you wouldn't look at him and think Puerto Rican. Let's keep it 100. You would not look at him and think Dey-Twah. I wouldn't, because it's just like, what's the boxer's name, babe? That you was just getting on me about? He looks like he's Irish or Scottish or something. Canelo. If you saw Canelo, the boxer, you know what I'm talking about? Canelo, if you saw him, you wouldn't look at him and be like, he looks Mexican. But that is his nationality. You know, he don't even speak a lot of English. You see? He habla English. Not a lot. You see what I'm saying? Like, but again, Mexico is a part of America, right? And you know, we can go further into it. We can talk about Texas. We can talk about the Alamo. We could talk about California. We could really go into it, but it's not necessary. I just really wanted to cut all through it because of the tension. Like, I understand it. Like last night, I talked about Detroit versus everybody. I understand it. This is a similar situation, you see, because you have, again, Busta Rhymes and probably some other brothers and sisters from Jamaica and Puerto Rico who claim to be a part of the beginnings of hip hop. And a lot of people will say, yeah, they were there at the beginning, but at the beginning of hip hop, what were y'all doing? Right? You probably was getting your ass beat for trying to listen to it in your parents' house, and they didn't want to hear that. They didn't want to hear that hip hop shit, right? Because that's not a part of y'all culture. Okay? It's just not. It's not. You listen to the foundational records of what we call hip hop, from the Sugar Hill records and things like this and that. And the music that they were sampling was R&B music or jazz music, which is music, genres of music that was started by our people. And I would, outside of classical music, which I know somebody would get on here and tell me that, yeah, we discovered or created classical music as well. But as far as what they call rock and roll, whether you're talking about heavy metal or folk or country or jazz, whatever it is, these are all genres of music that were created by melanated people from North America, right? Whether you're talking about Detroit, Chicago, LA, New York, Memphis, Miami, you know, Atlanta. I said Memphis already. I'm being a little biased a little bit. Houston, Dallas, right? St. Louis, all throughout Ohio, whether you're talking about Dayton or Cleveland or Cincinnati. I'm going to say Dayton again for the people. You know what I'm talking about? Motown, right? Stax Records. You know, there was no need for us to, and this is the thing, what do they call that? Culture vulture. It reminds me of the current movement, that with the momentum that the movements in the past brung, the momentum that was brought from the various Moors and Hebrew Israelites, and I use that a little bit loosely. My Islamic brothers and sisters, my 5%ers, even a lot of the brothers and sisters who were labeled Pan-Africans, or those who represent Kemet, which y'all know is Egypt. It was a time where all of us would be in attendance at the same lecture, right? Where this information was beginning to get popular, late 90s, early 2000s. And the information I'm talking about is us as being the so-called Indians, American Indians, indigenous, Aboriginal, autochthonous Americans, Moors, however you want to label it, or however it was labeled back then, the indigenous portion of it and the Aboriginal, those two words were always being used right back then. So now, fast forward, you got foundational Black Americans, you got ADOS, you got all of these various movements, right? And it's all getting mixed in together with the Dr. Claude Anderson and the Dr. William Sandy Darity and some of the other elders. You understand? The Empress Verdiasi, peace be upon her, from the Washita. All of this information, right? It has roots, but many people that are regurgitating a lot of this information have no idea of the roots. You see, because what they're seeing are little TikTok videos and YouTube videos and Instagram, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but you must know that Dan Calloway did not start this movement. Tariq Nasheed did not start these movements, right? These are movements that had already been in existence, and due to many factors, but one of the number one factors is you have, again, peace be upon her, Empress Verdiasi of the Washita, which is like, it's really difficult to find a movement that was telling us that, hey, most of the melanated people over here, or your ancestors, didn't come over here on no slaves. They would have been packed on top of each other like sardines and all. You keep hearing that story with that, but Empress, you have to give it up to Empress Verdiasi for that. She's the first to get out here and have these various conferences and call in a Frank Joseph and what's the attorney that passed that represent O.J. Simpson and Johnny Cochran, and you know what I'm saying? Like, she was rubbing elbows with a lot of the people. And again, I just want y'all to know, like the Camario guy, and you see what I'm saying? I see he did a bill. He's doing bills now talking about Farad Muhammad, or Farad Muhammad, the founder of the Nation of Islam, right? Or the one who they say is their Allah in the flesh. He came in the flesh. Say a half white man and blah blah blah. And some people say he's East Indian and all of this and this and that, right? What gets me is people such, and some of the information that he puts out, it is factual, but not all of it. Just because I pull some from a book, okay, let's check out the author. Let's check out the credentials of the author. You see what I'm saying? What primary sources and so on and so forth that they used to come up with this analogy, right? Now, if it was something like some fossils or some artifacts, you see what I'm saying? Then that's different. Then we would have to get off into carbon dating and things like this and that, right? But let me back up a little bit before I forget my point. Bro, it's like it's the ideologies that separated the roots of these movements, right? I brought up Empress Verdiasi. Empress Verdiasi was a Christian, right? But she was rocking with a lot of Moors, and some of these Moors were Moors from the Moorish Science Temple of America, and some of them were not Moors from the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? Then you have this is where the fruit of Islam comes in. You rarely hear about the fruit of Islam or the Nation of Islam when we start talking about these brothers and sisters who claim to be indigenous, to the Americas, where we at. We're saying that we're not indigenous to Akibulan or Asia Minor, right? This is the thing. If this is a fact, then there's no way that Christianity could have been the theology or the ideology of your ancestors who you come from this side of the land. I understand what I'm saying, y'all. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but this is what caused the problem amongst these various movements, as well as you had other master teachers begin to latch on to this information and try to utilize it to get themselves out of trouble when they have actually committed crimes where there are injured parties involved. Then another thing, right? You had people come in and they would come to the movement and already have a bunch of issues, you see, and they were trying to duck these issues, right? Or they had cases, right? They had child support cases or CPS cases, like they literally got their children took, you see, and now they're gonna run to these various movements like a Great Seal. And at the time, Dr. Ali Muhammad, his movement was called ISIS. And you had the White York or Dr. Malachi Z. York people who broke off into different sects. Some of them were still repping the Hebrew Israelite Ansar portion of the information. Some of them were dealing with the information as being part of the Nubian nation of Moors. You see what I'm saying? And when everything boiled down and it came to light that this cat was really doing some stuff that he shouldn't even be breathing, in my opinion, right? So with him saying he's a Yamasi, you see what I'm saying? He's related to Ben York and Old York and the Yorkshires, and but hold on, bro, you was just saying that you was from the planet Ritz from the 19th galaxy, and before that you was saying that no, you wasn't born in Massachusetts, that you was born in Sudan somewhere. You understand? And David and David York wasn't your father. Your father was related to Prophet Muhammad from out the Holy Quran. You see what I'm saying? Like, one thing for sure, what y'all should know by now is once one of these charlatans starts to tell one lie, they're going to have to continue to keep lying. And they're dependent upon weak people. And everybody's not weak. Let me see. It's so easy for people to learn some things when they go to church and begin to look at the pastor or the imam or the rabbi and so on and so forth as being somewhat of being a spiritual guide, right? To where the doctrine from the particular ideology that you are now worshiping, you don't know it from the first page to the last page, but you are under the impression that your spiritual guide knows these holy books or this particular doctrine from the front to the back. And with that being said, you have faith that they won't mislead you, right? In this day and age of 2025, when we have watched hundreds of pedo cases, whether you're talking about the Catholics, the Baptists, whether you're talking about Islam, no matter what type of Muslim you're talking about, either whether you're about Orthodox, Sunni, or Shiite, or Nation of Islam, you understand? These are the things that we don't like to talk about. I've seen, like I said, YouTube is just lit with this Fat Joe conversation, and other conversations come in with that. Again, the foundational Black Americans, the FBAs. Then they're gonna talk about Tariq Nasheed as the founder of that particular movement. Then after talking about Tariq Nasheed, well, I seen a brother say that Tariq Nasheed stole his information from Dan Calloway, and I just had to turn this shit off and turn this on so we could discuss it. You know what I'm saying? Again, let me say this. Dan Calloway does not predate Tariq Nasheed, right? But when you start talking about the uh, various volumes of the Hidden Colors, what you should have been paying attention to were the scholars that he was interviewing, and looking for their literature and their lectures. You see what I'm saying? Because he's just a producer. Not to say that Tariq Nasheed doesn't have any knowledge of self. That's not what I'm saying. You understand? But for him, first and foremost, this is a business, right? You're talking about a man who, his first books were about Mackie, right? He came out here with the Pimpalicious. I rarely hear him mention it. He was from Detroit, in any recent times, but in the past, he used to. Now, when you ask him where he from, Cali. I'm from such and such, but I moved to Cali. You understand? I don't have no beef with that. That's that man's choice. That's not my point. My point is, a lot of people are being listed as scholars in this new day and age when all they did was copy and paste with the grassroots movements and lectures already had put out here that was available on DVD or VHS tape. You see what I'm saying? Prior to a YouTube and all of this other stuff. So I just I don't respect the fact that they don't tell the truth. Now, somebody who I have heard tell the truth, what's this brother name? What is his name? Top Cat, is that his name? Now, he does admit that the first time that he heard about our people being indigenous to the Americas and blah, 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 he admit that the first time that he began to hear that information, that it was coming from brothers and sisters that were referring to themselves as Moors, who for the most part weren't a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So that caused confusion with many people. But at the end of the day, what it is, when we use the word Moor or say that we Moors, it seems to be the last era of our people running shit. That is what the other nations of people were calling us. They were calling us Moors, whether you were from over here on the west side, or what they call the Madrid. Am I saying that right? Or whether you were from over there. You see what I'm saying? It was the same thing. It was still the copper, bronze, golden tone. Some people say olive, black. That's hard to find. You see? That black, I've never seen a person who is black. But one thing that we do know for sure is when you reference yourself to being black, you suffer under the color of law. Listen to it, color of law, deprivation of rights under the color of law. Think about it. Negro, just another word for black, right? Or is that just what they want us to think? You see what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, but again, I was already done with Fat Joe. Some years ago when he stood against Colin Kaepernick. And what's so funny, I was looking for a video with him talking about that, but I actually found a video where he was kind of praising Colin Kaepernick. And I'm like, that's just how the ball bounces. That's how this game goes. Right? But with this one, he'll live it down, because so-called black people forgive everybody and everything because they Jesus freaks. You know what I'm talking about? Forgive everybody and everything. This shit will blow over. Believe that. It will blow over. But as right now, his ass is in the frying pan, and deservingly so. Although I haven't seen the interview, and again, to be really upset with him for using the word nigga, 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 like he been using the word. We not, outside of New York and this new wave. I call it a new wave because when I was growing up, if somebody that didn't look like us used that word, it was gonna be a problem. From where I'm from, I'm from Detroit. You see, so um, that always been, suspect to me, based off the fact that we know how they do. They don't include us. They don't include us for the most part. And when I'm saying they, I'm speaking about the brothers and sisters from the American islands, right? I mean, I got a lot of people that I rock with. I had no choice that are from the adjoining islands, right? Trinidad. I lived in Florida and went to school in Florida for some years, right? On and off. And again, Florida is a place where the majority of the people aren't from Florida. They're all from somewhere else, whether it be from another state or one of the islands that we just mentioned, or even, a whole nother country inside of another continent, like, from London or some shit, right? Uh, you get to know, these people don't call themselves black. We call them black, right? If they Jamaican, they call themselves Jamaican. If they Haitian, they call themselves Haitian. They don't even say that they're black. So when we're talking about Black American anything, whether it's Black American music or Black American clothing or Black American cuisine or any type of Black American art, and various forms of entertainment, they don't include themselves in that. So this thing with hip hop being founded by so-called Black Americans and then the others, it don't even make no sense, right? That's something we shouldn't have to even argue about, right? But for me, with Fat Joe, it's a little bit deeper than it is with Busta Rhymes, based on the fact that Fat Joe, again, he don't even look Puerto Rican. Where a picture at? He don't even look Puerto Rican. Don't stop playing with me. Hold on, take me off. Where a picture of Fat Joe at? I just had a picture somewhere. See if I can find it. Shoot, that ain't it. I'll just go back right here. Y'all know what he look like. I got many Puerto Rican friends. Shit, I got Dominican relatives. You know what I'm saying? But the difference, and you have a small percentage of, in specifically, I'm talking about the Dominican Republic. Those Dominicans, the ones who are very dark, it's just a small fraction of them who try to bond with us when they come here. You see what I'm saying? For example, my Uncle Pablo didn't speak a lot of English, but one thing that he knew to communicate to us was I black, right? I black. Okay. I understand what it means to bond with us here and be able to connect with brothers and sisters here and get to the money, right? Not that he was saying I black just to fucking get to the money. It's just we know the difference. Like, for example, my Uncle Alex, which is Pablo's brother. These are the Avilas. He's married to a Colombian woman, Elizabeth Avila. She's from Colombia. She not as pale as Fat Joe, you understand, but she wasn't as dark as Uncle Pablo or Uncle Alex, right? So with that being said, she couldn't run around and communicate to the brothers and sisters in Detroit and say, I black, because you don't look I black. You understand? So that's something different. But that's who she rocked with. She rocked with more melanated people than she did. You see what I'm saying? Her own people who were here, you see what I'm saying, to get money. In order to get to the money in Detroit in the 80s, in the business that they were into, you would have to be connected with the melanated people, because this is a melanated city. Y'all just heard Mickey Howard say last night, the video clip I showed. She said Detroit was like Africa to her, right? And she broke down why she said Detroit was like Africa to her. Like, this is black everything. Restaurants, I got y'all on clubs and bars and studios and record labels, and you see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think we need to stop the argument, because again, Cuba, that's an American island. Puerto Rico really can't say shit. You see what I'm saying? So it just, I understand our pain, because we keep going through this, right? With the country music situation right now, people are making sure Beyonce get her respect, being putting her feet in the genre of country music. But again, that is something that came from us. They did not create that genre of those people who run it. The same way they admittedly will tell you that they did not create rock and roll, but this is how we move. By us being a high-powered, high-energy people, we always creating something new, right? We good for abandoning some shit too, whether it be land or, you see what I'm saying? Please don't abandon the babies, but I'm just saying, you don't see, when you think of a black radio station right now, today in 2024, you turn it on, you're not going to hear rock and roll. You understand what I'm trying to say to you? But again, that was a genre that was created by us. When you turn on a so-called black radio station, you're not going to hear jazz, whether it's fusion jazz or smooth jazz or classical jazz. No, you're going to predominantly hear 99% rap music. And I say 99% because 95% of what is labeled as being R&B today is not even R&B, it's hip-hop. But then hip-hop is R&B. No matter how vulgar, no matter how political, right? No matter how fast the tempo or how slow the tempo, it's still at the root. Hip hop is still R&B, jazz, R&B and jazz. I would just leave it at that. Now, somebody is gonna say, well, it's reggae too. Yeah, it became reggae too. A little bit. Later on, I remember that group, the Jamaicans, right? Again, Jamaica is a part of America when we're talking about continental, geographical, right? Now when we're talking about as a nation, that's something that's debatable too. As a Nation state? Is there a nation state called America? I say no. So that wouldn't work. Something to think about, something to grasp. I still want to see is I think it's called Microphone Check. I haven't saw that by Tariq Nasheed where it gets broken down. Um, Talking about this art form that we know as far as the lyrics, the the lyric or the MC. The MC existed long before 1973, right? You know, we have what's the guy, the pig meat something. We got rap songs that go back to the 50s, right? And probably even the 40s. Don't, quote me on it. One thing I do recall, during my 6th grade year at Brooks Middle School on West Chicago in Detroit, Michigan, in the bathroom, in the store, it was a whole rap written. And this rap that was written probably 2 decades before I was even in attendance in 1988. You see what I'm saying? I was in what grade was you in 1988? You know what I'm talking about? Like I was in middle school. So again, who wrote that rap? It wasn't one of us. So when people say, hip hop was started in 1973, okay. As a culture, the combination at the time, you got your DJ, your MC, and your breakdancers, right? Again, rocking the party, what they call that, a juke joints and all of that shit. That shit did, that stuff that our parents and grandparents was already doing right here. Now, what I would employ you to do is find me another country on another continent where the young people were rapping or rhyming words, and whether they were clapping their hands, they didn't have to be beatboxing. Maybe they just clapping their hands, right? Stomping their feet while somebody was on the mic. And people are dancing, right? We got some old videos, you see what I'm saying? Of some of these indigenous tribes going at it right here in the Americas. But again, I asked you to find me somewhere else where that was going down. Nothing even fight about. Again, look at disrespect of trying to tell us that we don't have a culture. And we are culture vultures when we watch everybody else who come from these various islands that we're talking about. We watch y'all come here and begin to wear Mark Buchanan Pellies and Stacey Adams and Jordans. Like Jordan is not from Jamaica. Not even trying to be funny. You see what I'm saying? It's something that we're on defense. We didn't start this shit. We don't run around and say the Jamaicans stole the white beaters with the holes in it. What you call them? Them net shirts they be wearing. Them Jamaicans be wearing. The men and the women wear. It's like a white beater and it's made out of knit or some shit like that. You see what I'm saying? If a woman wears that and she don't have like a bra on, like you can literally see her breast. Like a fishnet. Yeah, but it's a shirt. That shit that they wear. We don't wear that. And I know many Jamaicans and people from the islands as a child, right? When I was a youngin'. And what the Jamaicans used to always say to us is, we don't wear the chain. Why you wear the gold chain? The white man put the chain around your neck, and why you wear the gold chain? That's what the Jamaicans and shit was saying to us. You see what I'm saying? Don't put the chain. Why do you wear the chain? Black man, you wear the black Americans is dumb. They wear the chain around their neck. You see? So the big gold chains and shit the Busta Rhymes be wearing, that ain't a part of his culture. Show me some pictures of Busta Rhymes' father or grandfather rocking gold necklaces and shit. I bet money you can't. But if I could show you pictures of my maternal and paternal grandfathers, and grandmothers, you understand, with hella gold on. Not just around their neck and on their fingers, but all in their mouth. Right? So I don't know what they talking about. It's not like if my grandparents was rocking gold teeth, and the Wu-Tang Clan and all these rappers and the rappers in Texas wearing the grills, you know what I'm talking about? That's not Jamaican. That's not Cuban. Although, let me say this, and I never asked any of my Cuban brothers and sisters, but I know some Cuban elders that got mouths full of gold, right? But I didn't ask them if they got that mouth full of gold in Cuba, or if they got it when they got here to what they call the mainland. When they got to Miami, did they get them gold teeth? Or when they got to New York, did they get them gold teeth then? Or did they get them gold teeth in their homeland? But for sure is shit. The show is shit. I've never met a Jamaican elder who had gold teeth or wore gold jewelry all around their neck. Now, I could be wrong. When I could be wrong about things, don't I always say I could be wrong, y'all? I could be absolutely wrong about this. Let me say that. But I have never experienced it. And I wish, even though I'm supposed to say I wish, but I wish more of us would cop to that plea. And that plea is, I could be wrong. For example, it's a lot of people that are saying, yeah, that's how them Jamaicans and them Haitians and Dominicans is. They think they better than us, and they actually have a culture and a mother tongue, which is bullshit. Because again, you habla español. We talking about IAT. They speak French and Spanish, and a lot of Jamaicans speak English and Spanish too, because that's who they were conquered by. So how does that make you more cultured than me? Let's talk about somebody who speaks the person who let me see. I was trying to get rid of me. The person who speaks Spanish and English, but they first language was Spanish, who I respect the most, peace be upon them. Peace be upon them, and that's Mr. Hugo Chavez, who was the president of Venezuela, that came to the United Nations meeting in New York in 2006. Help me out, y'all. 2006 for sure. Right? And in the year of 2006 and 2007, he went on a tour in North America. So wait, let's just back up to 2006 when he was at the United Nations meeting. And before he spoke, Mr. George Bush spoke. It's 2006, so this ain't Daddy Bush, this is son Bush. Bush gets off the mic, Chavez walks up and he says, "I can still smell the sulfur." Again, everybody, let's slow it down a little bit. Chavez walks up and he says, "I can still smell the sulfur." George Bush is a devil. But see, everybody didn't catch what he said. Everybody caught that he called George Bush a devil, right? But the words that he spoke before calling George Bush a devil, he said, I can still smell the sulfur. Then he called George Bush a devil, right? You have to get it. He was on hella mad. When he left that United Nations meeting, he went to one of the biggest blackest churches in New York. I think it was in Harlem. Don't quote me on it, right? But the speech that he gave at that big black church, he went to Chicago. He came here to Detroit, and I think he went to Greater Grace. It was either Greater Grace or what's the Viners Church, Perfecting Church. What's the name of it? Help me out, y'all. So this is talk about the speech that he gave when he went to these churches. He wasn't just running his mouth. He went to each city, specifically when he came here in Detroit. This is a speech. Let's get to the speech before we get to his charitable contributions as to why he's my favorite Spanish-speaking brother out of everybody, right? The habla español as a first language. He said, you and I. He said, it's a reason I'm going from black church to black church. He said, you and I, we brothers and sisters, we cousins, we are the indigenous people of the Americas, North, South, and Central. These pale people are foreign invaders. He said, look at me, look at you. He said, we family. We related. This is what he was going to these black churches telling black people. And he was cutting the check, right? He left $100 million in each city, specifically in oil, right? Let's get it right. Venezuela, I haven't checked in a while, but when I got hip to it, when I got hip to Chavez, I learned that Venezuela had the largest oil reserve in the world. Again, Venezuela, at the time, I don't know if it's changed, but they had the largest oil reserve on the earth. So, for example, here in Detroit, we have DTE, right? DTE, that's your electric, and your gas for the wintertime. There's another company that uses the oil for the natural gas that Chavez was writing the checks for. I think they call consumer something, whatever, right? So as the president of Venezuela, go to the major black cities, and when he gets to that major black city, go to the biggest black church. He knew where to find y'all at, right? And drop $100 million, but first let you know, hey, we family. Our ancestors been here. He wasn't going as deep as to say that so-called black people or Negroid people didn't come here by way of slave ships. He was skipping past that. He was going all the way back. You see these pyramids? You see this? You see that? That's us. This is our land. George Bush and them is in the fucking way. If I could come and drop $100 million in oil on y'all, you understand? To eliminate a DTE bill, a gas bill in the wintertime. It's freezing right now in the D. You see what I'm saying? So everybody's gas bill is sky high. $100 million? But the people weren't talking about this. People, when you had what's the congressman out of New York? Rangel, y'all know what I'm talking about, got the slick hair. After Chavez called Bush the devil, do you know this nigga got on, I don't know if it was MSNBC, and he was like, oh, that was disrespectful. You don't come to my country and call my president the devil. And you see what I'm saying? So now you had people focusing on the fact that Chavez called Bush a devil and not focusing on the fact that he went city to city, state to state, dolo, to the big, making sure he was going to the biggest black churches and politicking with his people, which is us. And now, again, for somebody like me that been around for a long time, to see the brothers and sisters from the various American islands be against the people of one of the main lands, which is, this portion of North America? Because if this is a main land of America, what is South America? Something to think about, right? So I don't know. I'll be glad when everybody get over it and figure out the things that we have to do away with in order to come together so we can actually deal with remedy and recourse and resolutions and things like this and that, right? Because as a whole, all of these things will be available to us. And another thing, the main thing that we don't realize when we're talking about a country like a Venezuela or a country like Jamaica or a country like Haiti, these are starving nations, right? So where do so-called Black Americans fit at, right? So you got to understand. I try to understand the mind frame of some of the brothers and sisters that come from these islands. They feel like they got a home, right? And we don't. When they're on their homeland, they feel like they have sovereignty, and we don't, which is bullshit times 10. And let me break that down to you. Whether we're talking about Jamaica, who is still in debt to England and these other nations, right? They aren't even the ruling class of their nations, which is why Haiti is in a predicament that it's in now. They're up under this doctrine of discovery, Christianity type shit. And so are we. And to keep it a buck, this is the problem. This is why the various movements that predate these indigenous movements right now did not work, because brothers did not want to. Let me go back, because I was talking about the fruit of Islam and how they were intertwined with peace be upon her, Empress Verdiasi of the empire, Washita D. Yamanya, right? These different beliefs. Oh, she believed in the Bible, right? And we believe in the Quran. So that's going to cause issue, which again, the shit don't make no sense, because both of those ideologies are Abrahamic. How you say that? Abrahamic. Ibrahim with the I, if we're talking Arabic, right? Like, believe me, these are the problems. And again, when we talk about pedophilia, for example, most of these P-word individuals usually tend to be some type of religious leader, police. Let's keep it a buck. When they do these things and they catch these pedos, who it be? It be Reverend Pork Chop and Pastor Pimpin'. It be Sergeant such and such, Lieutenant such and such. This shit is, and we just ignore all of that. Nobody cared enough about the women and the children to say, we need to break this down and find out why does this keep occurring, and statistically, what group of men and women commit these type of crimes, right? You know, what's the typical age of one of these pedos, right? Stuff like that that's already been done. These statistics are available, but again, we don't pay attention to it because we was paying attention to it. The goddamn church would be empty. The mosque would be empty. The temple would be empty. And it just wouldn't be Father Thomas that would be getting his ass whooped. It'll be the imam, the bishop, the rabbi. You know, y'all know what the rabbis be doing to the little baby boys, right? But here I am as an elder out here. I have to sit back and watch some of the most intelligent brothers and sisters say, well, I'm not a foundational Black America, and I don't believe in that indigenous shit because I'm a Hebrew Israelite. So that's why a lot of times I just step back. I don't deal with them indigenous, aboriginal, and Moors and all that. That's a cult. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Let me know. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. You want to talk about cultish? First of all, the word cult was a word that people who have the level of not just a level, certain level of discernment, but a certain level of knowledge of self, we wouldn't use words like cult, because we understand that the word cult is just an abbreviation for the word culture. I want you to have culture and custom and tradition, but I don't want you to be involved in culture and customs and traditions that are modern, and they don't represent your ancient ancestors who are the progenitors of all of this shit. Whether we're talking about art, right? Whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about science, be it biology, chemistry, archaeology, anthropology. Those are the religions that our ancient ancestors were into. They wasn't into no if when they dealt with the sun, they was talking about S-U-N. They weren't talking about S-O-N. And when they were talking about mother, father, child, as in son, you knew it because they had symbolism that represented something different in between energy in a vessel and the energy itself, right? Or energy being released from the vessel. The vessel is dead, but the energy continues on, right? Energy don't die, right? These are things that were understood. It wasn't no technology. The ancestors didn't have to steal your divinity in order for you to worship. You understand? In order for you to worship in Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, you have to give up your divinity. And not to mention, those three ideologies stole the divinity of the Great Mother. So the people fall on to what? Father, Son, Holy Ghost, no mother. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. What happened to mother, father, child? Or father, mother, child? Father, mother, son? Or father, mother, daughter? Well, that's it. I'm done, y'all. I'm about to be out. Remember, whether we talking about Cuba, the Bahamas, Trinidad, Puerto Rico, all of these are American islands. These are places that our ancient, I don't want to start saying ancient ancestors. That shit sound like the History Channel. But our ancestors traveled. You understand? They traveled in civilized and various land masses. And the proof that's there is when you find any type of ancient relic in anywhere in North, Central, South America or the adjoining islands, it points directly at us. Nowhere else. They're not finding ancient relics, excuse me, in Veracruz or Chile or somewhere, and it has anything to do with a European nation. That don't happen. Appreciate y'all for the comments. I'm about to throw them up now. Hit the like button for your sis. And this just tripping me out. I'm gonna be on this, but again, I want to talk about bringing everything in the full circle, because the contributions that we made, that our ancestors made, and that we have made internationally should be respected and protected, right? So for some 40, 50-year-old, even 60-year-old man or woman who was not born on what they call the mainland to tell us about we don't have no culture, and the roots of any genre of music that came from us, you understand, actually came from them, that don't work. That don't work for us. You guys like to wear sandals, and not to say that we don't, you see what I'm saying, but predominantly you can put us in two categories. Understand that Maury Gators make sandals too. They make sandals for men and women. If you're from Detroit, you've been seeing these sisters or these brothers in the summertime walk around with these $1,000 Maury Gator sandals on. This is where we're from. You understand that we rocking a sandal, goddamn it, outside. If it ain't a flip flop, it's a Maury Gator sandal. You understand? So again, Stacey Adams, Detroit, Michigan. I said I'm gonna say Mark Buchanan Pelly probably 50 more times, just so you understand. That's Detroit. I don't know who makes an Everex. How you say that? Averex. But would you rather have a Mark Buchanan Pelly or a motherfucking Averex? Tell the truth. Tell the truth and shame the devil. You want that Mark Buchanan Pelly. You might rock an Averex. You might rock an Alwasan, which is Detroit too. But if you had your pick, you won't go with that Pelly. Don't lie. It's unbelievable. I just hate the divisiveness, and I hate the slowness. Like, people were slow. Again, when somebody starts talking about, and I'm gonna give you an example, and it could be somebody listening that may be familiar with this story. You see, once upon a time, I was on my Hebrew Israelite journey, and all of my friends were 5%ers. For the most part, I ain't gonna say all of them, but those who I dealt with in the music industry, they was on a 5%. So we was having some trouble. Understand me? We was bumping heads. You know, some of the stuff I was all right with. You see what I'm saying? But some of the shit that they was saying, like, I wasn't rocking with it, not at the time. And it wasn't a lot of things that we clashed on, right? But the fact that I would rock Gucci links with Jesus pieces, you see what I'm saying? They didn't like that. And I'm like, why? It's a dead white man on a cross. Like, what's your problem? Just before I was hit to the Helios Biblios being a sun book, right? This is before I peeped the cardinal points, right? And the equinoxes and the solstices and things like this and that. I wasn't all that hip like that back then, not yet. Still on some Behold a Pale Horse and on some the White York books and shit. You see what I'm saying? So I was on my Hebrew Israelite real hard. Now, fast forward 20 plus years later, All of my friends that was 5%ers, now they talking about they Hebrew Israelites. Do you know how that shit feel? Like, it's different when somebody who is advanced as me understands that when you, for instance, say them brothers and sisters would have still been 5%ers right here, right now, today. It don't mean that I will have more respect for their scholarship, right? I just wouldn't. My thing is, you got to keep moving. You're not supposed to get trapped in the second grade. Second grade was good. You learned probably a lot of shit in the second grade. You probably learned a lot of shit in the seventh grade. But do you want to stay in the seventh grade and trap yourself in that chamber of knowledge for the rest of your life? I don't think you do. But when somebody, for instance, you might have been an Orthodox Muslim or raised as a child as an Orthodox Muslim or as a Jehovah Witness, right? And you grow and you learn some things and you begin to research and you feel like King James version of the Holy Bible resonates with you more, right? So now you like, well, I'm a Christian and blah, blah, blah. And okay. And I meet you 15 years later and you still holding that same book like you never graduated from the seventh grade. Couldn't be me, especially in these days and times, how you can break down and dissect that literature with the Hebrew Greek concordance, so you can find out the snakes don't talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start getting your hands on other supporting texts, and you learn that damn, before it was the Eve, it was a Lilith. You see? But you never going, if you stay in the Baptist church or in the Nation of Islam, all you gonna know about is Eve. You ain't gonna never learn about the wife that predates Eve, named Lilith. You're not gonna be in discussions about a Talmud or Tanakh or Septuagint, and you may never use the word Torah. If you grew up Baptist and stuck with your Baptist or Pentecostal or Seventh-day Adventist or Jehovah Witness, these are words that you're not going to even, you understand? They're not going to mention any of this. And the thing is, it's not like it's outside of that particular ideology that you have trapped yourself in. I'm just going to say what it is. You can't come to me trying to tell me shit. You see what I'm saying? When you don't know shit. I'm just saying what it is. You have limited yourself and trapped yourself in one box of knowledge of self or one degree of knowledge. And you comfortable there. And that's cool. I don't have a problem with it. But just know that at that point, you don't have the right to call somebody else's belief system pseudo. At that point, it's not pseudo, if you don't know. So, because you say it ain't in your book. And that's something a Christian would say, it ain't in a book. That's 66 books that you have in your possession. That's 66 books. It's not a book. If you have a King James version of the Bible, that is 66 books. It's not one book. So that show me, not only do you lack knowledge of soul, but the shit that you claiming, you can't even properly represent it. It could be picked apart, and you are stuck with, well, that's what I believe. All right. I'm saying, you hate to, of course, according to, come on, look here, like, let's get back to the music. Like, I can imagine that, and we could look this up. I don't know how many elementary schools or middle schools or high schools that they have in the country of Jamaica, right? But I know just in this one city that we call Detroit, there are over 100, right? Schools. And once upon a time, all of these schools, even in elementary school, we had a band. We had a band. And starting in around the second or third grade, they will let you pick an instrument. You want to play the clarinet, you want to play the flute, you want to play the saxophone, you want to play the trombone, you want to play the trumpet, you want to play the drums. What kind of drums you want to play? You want to play the snare drum or you want to play the bass drum? We grew up in elementary, middle, and high schools that all had a band. You understand? All of these schools had a band, and the children were allowed to learn the instruments. You want to play the piano? You understand? We were allowed to learn how to play these instruments and actually give concerts, and your parents and your teachers come and the other students come to the little concerts that all the schools had when we was in elementary and middle school and high school. So of course we would be responsible for creating all these genres of music. Like, you can't even compete. A Puerto Rico, a Cuba, hey, y'all, you couldn't compete. We're talking about one city. So multiply that times Chicago, Baltimore, New York, goddamn LA, Miami. I don't know about some of these southern places, but Atlanta, all of these cities with hundreds of schools, and all of the schools got bands, right? Full brass sections for your children to learn how to play. You know what the brass section is? The brass section is the horns. Full percussion sections, right? Full strings. You know what the strings are, right? Not just the violin, not just the upright bass, not just the acoustic guitar, the lead guitar, the bass guitar, strings, the string. We had all of this, access to all of this. So anybody who just want to believe some stuff, you can believe some stuff. But again, let's do a comparison. How many schools did any of these islands have in the 80s, in the 70s, and the 60s that had a full ensemble band for your child to be able to attend while they were going to school? Get like an hour, or listen, 2 or 3 days out the week, we get an hour to go to band class and be in band class. And yeah, I signed up to learn how to play the flute, but I'm playing the clarinet, right? And I'm go over there with my brother, and they on the drums, and I'm beating the drums too, and they playing blue rock. Dun, 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 dun. Then I could play it boom, boom, boom. You see what I'm saying? Most of the children wanted to be in the band. We can go back and look at my parents' generation. No, they had bands back in the 60s, right? Choirs for the church people, you see? Learning how to play the organ, the drums, the guitars. When we talk about somebody like a R. Jelly, Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, knew how to play a lot of instruments by way of coming from church people. Which again goes back to what I was talking about with the sexual assaults and this and that. You see what I'm saying? Find a lot of the pedos from that realm, and the weirdos, like the people who had their children sleeping on the front porch here in Detroit since July. Pastor Pimpin was their daddy. Weirdos. Crazy. So I thought. Now, I'm about to be out though. I'm gonna be back tomorrow again. Right now, YouTube is lit. Is it lit?
Supreme.
Shock.
They say I'm dope, I said I'm smoke, fire, blowing air, carbon, earth, solid, water, wet. I'm steady beat, a sister soldier that dies effects. So gon' raw that hoopla, I'm rah-rah. Unless you talking about Atun, Namuna, Amara, pineal glands, all seeing eyes. We call the third eye, we came to build, not pay your bill. Slang municipality, city seals like roadkill, descendants of ancient mound builders. Not supposed to need encyclopedias, genetically encoded with 720. We got amnesia, claiming we Christian cretins, in love with Yahweh, Muhammad, and Jesus. But you was living inside of God when you was a fetus. But believers and never believers